It can come up to a different result, but if you put the percentage differently, it can come up to the same result. It's more of how you adopt it and fine-tune it to the Islamic principle. I would like to clarify, though, that musharaka is not that popular by the banks because of 2 or 3 issues. It's not really because of we like or we don't like to use it. One of the issue is the it's a clash of principles between conventional and Islamic when it comes to definition of equity. If you see conventional, equity is purely equity, preference shares, that's the hybrid, but it's equity, ordinary shares, preference shares, hybrids, and sometimes convertible debt. In Islam, in Islamic finance, people have been using musharaka and mudaraba to make a debt instrument. Is it right? It was announced to be not right by Taqi Usmani in 2007. If you remember, in 2007, he announced that 75% of musharaka and mudaraba in the world is haram. Why? Because they use purchase undertaking. They use wa'ad to give kind of a guarantee to musharaka and mudaraba. And musharaka and mudaraba is practically equity in Islam. So when you come to equity, even conventional tells you, if it's not preference shares, you can't give a fixed dividend, right, to a return of an equity. But Islam, by the practitioners have been doing musharaka and mudaraba with purchase undertaking in the end. Some scholars still accept it because the purchase undertaking used is a wa'ad. It's a promise. It's rather than a pure purchase undertaking. So there are clash of views when it comes to using wa'ad, the purchase undertaking, for musharaka and mudaraba. That's why musharaka and mudaraba are not that popular, because we want to avoid that. We want to avoid the risk of people thinking that musharaka and mudaraba is not a pure Islamic product. Secondly, the treatment of musharaka and mudaraba in banks' book. Banks have to report their capital adequacy ratio. If you use musharaka and mudaraba, you are practically taking the assets as your investment. Investment has a higher impact on your capital adequacy ratio. If you keep on doing this, you can't do a lot of business. You are limiting your business by at least 40%. So that's the reason why musharaka and mudaraba are not widely used, shall I say that. And for me, you don't have to use a lot of products. If you want to do a debt product, we have debt in Islamic finance. We got commodity murabaha, ijara, leasing is also a debt to me. Salam, istisna. Those are all pure debt transactions which you can still use a purchase undertaking or a promise to actually close the contract. Why use musharaka and mudaraba when it's making it complicated? Once it's complicated, it's more costly. I got to pay a lot to the lawyers. I got to pay a lot to my accountant, and end of the day you get lesser returns. If someone can do a pure musharaka and mudaraba in this market, it has to be an asset with the best return in the world. For example, you have a government assets, and you know that the government will pay you a certain amount of money. You believe that the government will not default. I will do a musharaka without a purchase undertaking. It's a pure musharaka, well respectable among all the scholars and among all the Muslims in the world. With that, I think I close the session. Thank you very much.
Okay. I have some comments to Brother Ahmed. As session chairman, he added that according to the higher board of Sharia board in Sudan, and I must agree about his idea about different views in Islam. Yes, there are different views and schools, but Islam is Islam. When we do about murabaha, we did about murabaha. We agreed upon most of the main leader or the thinker. In Sudan, this is higher board of Sharia board. This is established in the Central Bank of Sudan. But is control all the banking and financial institutions. It is called the Higher Sharia Board for Banking and Financial Institutions. That means also this institution and each bank have a small group to be as Sharia board inside the bank. So there are two steps. First, inside the bank, there's a group of leaders of Sharia to discuss the matter and the contract and to check it. And then at last there are higher board looking forward all the system of the banking system. The other correction, Sudan nowadays about 30 bank. Even some bank is from foreign, yani from Kuwait and from Lebanon and other. Also this must be agreed upon about what happened to the regulation issue of central bank according to the Islamic Sharia board. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Siddiq. Thank you, Mr. Nick Juarez. Thank you, Dr. Mehran. And distinguished guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen, participants. On behalf of Alhuda Center for Islamic Banking and Economics and Al Baraka Multipurpose Cooperative Society Limited, I would thank you very much for your presence today. Remind you that tomorrow we're having the second session, starts at 9:30. I hope that this day has been very fruitful. You have been getting some enriching experiences. You have been sometimes clarify certain misconceptions. And we end with tea. So I invite everybody of you on the third floor for a tea break. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you tomorrow, inshallah.